I got a chance to talk to Gary Danielson, who is the play-by-play or the color man for CBS and their SEC football package, and he said this about Nick Saban and Kirby Smart. He said, I thought it would be difficult to replicate the design of the program that Nick created at Alabama. I didn't know that it would ever be duplicated. But right now, I don't know if anyone has done anything. If anybody has done what Kirby is putting together right now, I don't know if anyone has done what Kirby is putting together right now. Part of what Gary talked to me about was, you know, that Kirby still had a ways to go to catch Nick Saban in the grand scheme of things, but it mimicked a lot of what Gary told me mimics a lot of what people have said that I've known in the league for a long time. And I share this opinion, which is that Nick Saban is the greatest college football coach of all time, but nobody's doing college football better than Kirby Smart right now. And I think the proof is in the pudding. If I'm picking someone to win the national championship for this season coming up, I would still pick Georgia. I think they're the best players. Generally speaking, there's only a couple of teams that have better player or that could be considered better players. Ohio State, perhaps. Alabama, perhaps. After that, no team has better players than Georgia on a team level. And I don't know that Georgia is outclassed by them in terms of players. Individual players, Caleb Williams at USC, Marvin Harrison at Ohio State, those guys stand out for sure. There are some players at Alabama who are very good. A better coach than Kirby? I'm not sure right now. Nick Saban, I don't know that we can really say that somebody's a better coach. Like game day? Who would that be? Make sure you're picking up our 2023 season preview. It comes with Double Dogs, which is our 80-plus page look at Georgia's 2022 national championship season. It's got a lot of stories you're not going to read anywhere else. Obviously, photos you're not going to see anywhere else because we do that's such a priority for us. And then the 2023 preview, which you can pick it up only here and at Red Zone. Our link is down below. You order those. Another shipment is going out for me today. I don't know when I'm going to run out of the 2023 previews, but it's going to be sooner than later. So I can tell you that right now. I don't know who you would say is a better coach than Kirby right now. And the reason why is it's not just coaching. It's not just I'm going to make this decision right now. I'm Dan Mullen and I can out scheme you. That doesn't matter when, Azeez Ojulari or Nolan Smith is, shoving your quarterback into the ground. There's a lot of different ways to coach. Personally, I have always, and you can go back and listen to anything I've said since 2001 on this, 2000. Personally, I'm a fan of the Joes, the Jimmies and the Joes. Because coaches, when we've seen in the last... Since 2010, we've seen Gene Chizik, we've seen Ed Orgeron win national championships. You're telling me they're better coaches than Mark Richt was? They're not. So, it's about Jimmys and Joes. The coaching has a lot to do with it, but if you got Joe Burrow or Cam Newton, that helps quite a bit. Or Trevor Lawrence, Sean Watson. You go win the national championship with Jake Coker. Tell me what that's like. That's what Nick's done at Alabama. But, back to Gary's point, I don't know if anyone has done what Kirby's putting together right now. I think that gets to another discussion on my end. And I asked Gary about this. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I'm not so certain that Kirby couldn't have a better run than Nick did at Alabama. And the reason I say that is, as great as Nick has been at Alabama, and it's been it's been pretty sick to rhyme. Um, Eventually, he will not be the head coach at Alabama at a time at which Kirby is the head coach at Georgia. That's my suspicion, at least. We'll see. But when those two have overlapped head coaching positions, um, they both won national championships, one at the other's expense. I think if Nick goes away, that leaves a void, and I don't think that void will be filled with Brian Kelly, as good as Brian Kelly is. I don't think that Texas, as it stands right now, will be what Alabama has been. I think the only program out there right now that has the capability of being what Alabama has been or better is Georgia. I don't know if Florida will be patient enough with their situation with Billy Napier. They're never patient. I don't know if Brian Kelly's as good as Nick. I don't probably think so. And then anywhere around, Jimbo has proven he can't. Well, he hasn't even proven he can really win in a big way at Texas A&M. He's never won the division. Dabo, it looks like we've seen the best of Clemson, but we'll see as time goes on. Florida State hasn't even won their division with the current head coach, but that could change this fall. USC, we'll see. And Ohio State and Michigan have never dominated the way that Georgia or Alabama have these last few years. Ohio State this century's won 2 national championships with 2 different head coaches, and they were more than a decade apart. That is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is ripping off, in a 7-year period, 4 national championships or 3. That's just not been common in college football, certainly lately. But I think that 2023, I've said this a few times. 2023, I think Georgia is probably more likely to win the national championship in 23 than they are in 24. I think that 24 presents a lot of obstacles. You got to go to Alabama. You got to go to Texas. There is now an extra game in the playoff, no matter if you win your conference or not. It's just a different ball game. Georgia will probably be on its 3rd quarterback in 3 years. They could be, in theory, starting a freshman quarterback. So I think 23 is another year where Georgia's in position to win the national championship. I don't know if 24 is quite going to be like that. It may be. But as it stands here today, I rewatched some of the, I still have not watched any of the, I rewatched Ohio State, Georgia that morning. We got home from the Dome after walking to the hotel, which was ridiculous. We got home and watched the second half of the Ohio State game. So I saw that, might have been more than the second half. I saw that, whole game. I've never watched the national championship against Alabama, and only last night did I watch portions of the Texas Christian national championship game. And what struck me in the TCU game was how much faster Georgia was than TCU. Like, noticeably faster than their players. It was amazing how fast they got to the ball. That speed's not going anywhere. I remember talking to Jeff Foxworthy coming into the 22 season, and in the summer, we were talking about dog structure in the book that he had written the foreword to, and or something. I don't know what we were talking about. Something related to that. And he said, I don't know if they can. I said, they can win it again, And then he went to he got the ability to see a practice. And we talked maybe a week or so after that. And he said, I just can't get over how fast they are. This defense is so fast. And, of course, he wasn't so sure they could win it. But I was. I am this time too. But what he was right about, so correct about, and other people that had seen practices too, was how fast the defense was. And that came across in a major way last night. when I was watching that game on ESPNU, just because it was on and there's no sports on there in the summer, at least this time of summer, and it came across against TCU with like backups. I mean, it was guys. It was like Warren Brinson and Mikael Williams and who was playing linebacker? Jalen Walker. I mean, these guys were flying, and you just can't teach that. Now I don't care. I was not a slow person, but I wasn't a two guard. And like you're not gonna get that kind of speed. You have to go. You can't develop that kind of speed. Just go get it. And Georgia's got a lot of it. And that's the part that I think when Gary says, I don't know if anyone has done what Kirby is putting together right now. I don't know if I've seen that either. Now, early Alabama, I think you could make the argument. Early Nick Saban Alabama, the 11, 12, 13 run. But that had the same quarterback. Georgia does not have the benefit of that right now. That had the same quarterback. And, Nick will tell you behind this, they weren't so certain, or at least I have him quoted as saying, they weren't so certain that A.J. McCarron would be, they didn't know for sure about A.J. McCarron. Well, he turned out to be pretty good too. How good will Carson Beck turn out to be? That's going to be the question coming up this season as well.